We are happy to be here once again. All right. Scott and I are matching with our jump cloud stuff. It's okay, Ervishi. We didn't give you the memo. It's all right. Okay.
I mean, this is a Face ID shirt from Windows.
There you go. We'll pretend. So, how's everybody? We made it. We're here. We're alive. We're upright. Yes, Ervishi's playing with her. I had to ask for Sonoma, and I haven't heard back yet because I'm in a managed device, and so I can't get it yet until I get permission because I don't have a test device. I
I'm
have a
on a
reg-
managed device.
I
Anyway,
want.
we'll troubleshoot this later.
Yeah, well, I'm under one of those that I don't have the full permissions
You are
because
not
we
in the
haven't.
early access
Yes.
ring.
No, I'm in like the second layer of that. So I don't get the early access, but I get the early access. So all good. How y'all doing?
I gotta say, a Friday the 13th in October has me feeling extra scared.
I got my
I
spooky
just had
stuff in the
a
background here. I got Sally. You can't see Jack Skellington, but he's over in the corner there. But I could maybe, let's see. Uh, there we go. See, I got my
amazing.
scary stuff over there. Perfect for Friday the
I
13th.
a thing, which is to drink a cold brew coffee at 9 p.m. So let's see how the rest of this night goes.
Well, I've already had my coffee and I'm on my other caffeine, so we're all good. Not sponsored by DP, so there you go. Anything fun this weekend? We do anything cool?
Lunch with family, and then meeting some school friends. Just lots of eating this weekend.
Ooh, Tad's mentioning Salem. I had a friend locally that just went to Salem and was posting pictures of it. I hear that it is very very crowded during October. Lots of visitors going there to check out all the witchy stuff, which sounds pretty cool. But I would like to go see all of that, but just maybe not when it's so crowded you can't really walk around. Not a fan. Brian Hicks is going to some birthday parties. I've got birthday parties at the end of the month, but not one right now. Chris says, did Salem one Halloween? It is crazy crowded. That is what I've heard. I've seen pictures of it just like mobbed, and that's too peoply for me. So I maybe we'll do it sometime when it's not so crowded. We have the SAS, SAS, the one of the data companies. They have a golf tournament this week and this weekend, and I'm probably gonna go take a look at that. Not that I'm like a massive golf fan, but a friend has tickets, and get to sit at one of the right in front of one of the holes and watch. It's a pro am, so might be fun.
I
Oh,
did that class once and then failed miserably, so it never went back.
it's more fun to like play it than it is to watch it. I will say that. And Jeff says, did Salem, Oregon a few weeks ago. Yeah, I think that's a little different than the Massachusetts version, Jeff. So womp womp. No witchy stuff, huh? No, doesn't work. Right. So usual kind of things going on. We're going to talk about I Make Work Happen and community and product. And then Scott is back again. Woohoo! You're going to be a regular on here, Scott. We're going to give you a semi-permanent co-host
I think I
status.
am a regular. I mean, once you're once a month, right? You're kind of in the slot.
You are. Absolutely. Welcome back.
Ready to
So,
be
One
back.
more and you get a free coffee.
yeah. Look at that. That is old school. Old school.
I've got some great Jump Cloud mugs. I actually have like the wider one. I'll bring that one next time maybe and flash that. But
Yeah,
all
mine
about the
is
coffee mugs.
I've got the blue one over there on my shelf. I will have to grab it and pull it out sometime. But yeah, Scott's a boomerang long timer, and he's got all the cool old school Jump Cloud swag. All right, so we're gonna jump into it, no pun intended, I Make Work Happen, y'all. It is still going on. There is still time to enter. And I'm going to pop that in the chat here. That's the link to the site. Go make your card and share it on social, because you make your card, you get an entry. You share it on social, you get another entry. And guess what? We have another weekly winner, Stephen Moss. We recognize that name. And Stephen won the weekly drawing this week. $100 coming your way. So watch for an email on that. Y'all, it's not that hard to enter and win. So make sure you're doing that. And then I believe every month we have an even bigger drawing for, $1,000 and some swag. So not exactly peanuts. Make sure you check that out and go enter to win. Fun stuff. All right. So lots more stuff going on in the community. Jurgen has given us yet another script. He is just on the ball with this. PowerShell bookmark bulk importer script in the scripts repo. Rodders has posted in Security Networks about locating and updating curl and libcurl, and you should go check that out. And then Dariover Melly had posted a question about get JC user and work phone and work mobile phone, a script question, and that has been solved thanks to Urvashi and Sean helping out with that. So if you ever have that question, now we have that solved. You can go check that out. And Barry Trotter actually had a question in the software and hardware, actually another script question about if it's possible to put jump cloud command runs using the user's device name who triggered it. So when they do that, can you script it to put their device name in there? So if you have that answer, go check that out as well so you can help them out. In product news, Niraj posted that Background Tools EA is available for all customers. So Background Tools is going to enhance your ability to troubleshoot issues, manage files, and streamline your IT operations without interrupting your end users. So the key capabilities of this is remote command line access and a remote file manager. More information on that post, as well as a link to the getting started for Background Tools and remote file manager. We will post the links to those in the run of show recap so that you can go check those out. And the customer education team, if you remember, Mark was on the show last week talking about advanced certification coming up, and he posted a quick link on the community for more about that. And speaking of giveaways, guess what? We are going to be giving away 2, not 1, but 2 advanced certification vouchers. Now, I know some of you were interested in that and had been asking about the cost of that and everything. So next week and the week after, we are going to, yes, Brandon, Advanced Land. We are going to be giving away 2 vouchers, one each week. So 2 total for that. So we will be doing that on the show. And if you want to enter to that, you need to be here and be a part of the drawing. And we'll be doing that live. It is going to be for customers who are paying for Jump Cloud. So you do have to be a paid customer in order to qualify for that drawing. So just a caveat there, but we're really looking forward to doing that. I think that's really exciting. So we've got an argument in the chat here about who's going to win that, and they're fighting over it. Sorry, Rob, I know you say you've been denied rat shirts and socks and you should get one by default, but you do have to enter to win. So come back next week and the week after and enter the drawing. And we are really looking forward to that. So we've been talking to the team, and they're excited about doing that giveaway, and we will be doing that. And with that, those sections are over, and we are going to hand it over to Scott, and he's going to talk about self-service account provisioning. See, Scott, I corrected the name, and federation.
Yeah. So I want to start by talking about what we're doing and why we're doing it. Having done my intro before, I'll do a quick overview of my origin story for those new to the call. But before I worked at JumpCloud, I worked in corporate IT. I have 10 years in IT experience, working from tier 1 to the IT supervisor at my last role before joining JumpCloud. And part of my world in those 3 IT orgs that I worked in was provisioning devices and getting them ready for users on their first day. This was before the magic of Apple Business Manager and zero touch enrollment, and also included times, working with Windows Active Directory. Wasn't an Azure AD admin, but what I recognized from that experience is just how fundamental that is to every organization, provisioning computers for users on their first day. So this is a feature and this is a story that's all about making that process easier. And it's a stepping stone in the vision that we have in truly trying to work towards the closest that we can get to a zero touch enrollment flow for Windows that doesn't require Azure Premium licensing. So self-service account provisioning is essentially our analog to what is commonly referred to as an Azure AD join. Azure AD join, right? This is when a user signs in with a Microsoft account in a Windows 10 and 11 device, and it provisions a new account there. In the Windows world, they own the operating system, right? So an Azure AD join can happen out of the box during the UBI flow, or on existing devices that are in the field, it can occur inside of the settings menu. With JumpCloud, we are not the creators of the operating system. We are citizens of it. So we did some really fun things with this solution, and one of them was building a Windows credential provider to plug into Windows. And more excitingly, on macOS, we built a new login window. I'm incredibly excited about what this new login window does, because it does something simple, but so powerful for a cloud directory. And that is, it allows you to manage wireless connectivity from the login window without having an active account. So that's huge. You can connect to a hotspot. There's a refresh button, and we're going to dig into this now. So let's talk about what we built with self-service account provisioning in the new login window, how you turn it on, and get into the nitty-gritty. So I'm going to go and share something. Let's go screen, and let's start with entire screen and go here. All right, so here we are. We're on the devices overview page, and this is where the settings to turn on self-service account provisioning live. So inside of the settings tab, you're going to find 2 new toggles, one for Mac, one for Windows. I really, again, focused with the tech writing and my product team on the right words to use, and we landed on self-service account provisioning, allowing users to provision their JumpCloud accounts to a managed device from the login window. This is something you can turn on globally for Mac and for Windows and set different permission levels. This is essentially add-on to what we currently offer for self-service account provisioning, where the feature for that for Apple Zero Touch enrollment is a choice that occurs inside of the automated device enrollment configuration for macOS, where there's the ability to enable user authentication, where during this flow, this is the step for our Zero Touch that does the same thing. It provisions an account out of the box. Now, you don't have to. There's many reasons for organizations that may prohibit them from being able to use Zero Touch enrollment for macOS. Whether Apple's made the process easier, but once upon a time, organizations didn't have a DUNS number, or maybe it's just now you purchase Mac machines. You don't go through a vendor. You have other ways that you purchase it. So this, for all intents and purposes, opens up the door for light touch workstation provisioning flows for your IT org, where your org is preparing those for their users on their first day, and then gives you as an admin a zero touch experience for when you hand that device off to a user. So zero touch, right? What is zero touch? And it's zero touch for us, the IT team. All the touches are being done by the end users. So the way that I like to explain zero touch in my world is, imagine having a stack of laptops that you've provisioned. It's taken you 2 or 3 minutes to provision each one, and you've got a stack of 10 laptops. 10 new users come in, they're all going to have the same hardware. So any user can take any laptop out of that stack, and they're the ones that make it theirs. So how would that look in the real world? Well, we're going to do some demoing in the real world. It's Friday the 13th in October, so please pray for me. But yeah, this is real. This is right next to me. So what I have here is I'm going to walk through a couple of these scenarios, and I'm going to give you some examples of some of the gotchas that I want to highlight. Self-service account provisioning is about new accounts only, and the ability to do a self-service account provisioning is singular. Just like with the zero-touch enrollment flow for Apple Business Manager, it's a one-time action that occurs. And that's how we've built it now, but we can talk about how we could expand this with an incremental feature to make this action occur regardless of the kind of the trust on first use or that one-time action. So here's this device. I'm going to show you this device. You can see I've been testing a lot. So one of the things that's very important to highlight is that this will only work if the account doesn't exist there. So I'm going to show you an example of something that's going to error, and I want to highlight that gotcha. So here on the Mac login screen, I'm clicking sign in with JumpCloud, and I'm going to try to sign in with the user where there's an account on here that already exists. Account already exists. Hank Declan, contact your admin. This is only about creating new account, so I want to make that very clear. While we're here, let's talk about this new login window. Check it out. Wireless. Manage wireless network connectivity. And this is pretty smart. It leverages what's already in the operating system, so it'll remember your saved networks. It'll automatically connect. We're doing a ton of piggybacking, bringing the Apple native wireless experience to the Mac. We think about the other things that we have here. We've got a Wi-Fi icon in the top right. You might not be able to see this, but it's green. If you turn wireless off, this goes red. So you have visual indication to tell you if you're online. And then my favorite Easter egg, you've got this info icon that you can click on to see the host name, the serial, the MAC address, the IP, and the macOS version directly from the login window. From a JumpCloud perspective, the thing that excites me most is this new refresh button. So we just saw that issue that this user's Hank was already here. Let's add him. Let's add him back to the machine and watch what happens. So I'm going to add Hank to this machine. Pray for me. And I'm going to click this refresh button. Boom. What just happened? Hank was added to this device. And more so than that, we can see visually that Hank is a JumpCloud managed user. How can we see that? Well, there's a JumpCloud icon next to his avatar. Additionally, the sign in with JumpCloud button went away. This is the experience for all devices that have managed users for what will happen when you flip that toggle on. There will be no sign in with JumpCloud button. They'll get the new login window with this new avatar. This login window will eventually become the default login window. But to respect change management and give you guys the control to roll this out as you want it, the toggle exists now. In the coming weeks, months, and quarters, there will be a time when this becomes the new login window hard stop. But we want to respect change management, your users, and ultimately, I feel very strongly that this is a incremental improvement for all, given the number of tickets that may be able to be resolved just with this refresh button and wireless network connectivity. Scott, does the Wi-Fi indicator go green on internet connectivity or JC connectivity? Internet connectivity. Other thing to call out, it's a Wi-Fi indicator. If you're on the LAN, it's still a Wi-Fi indicator. So I did some negotiation. I wanted it to be able to be a LAN indicator if you were plugged in with Ethernet, but wireless is what we're showing there to show internet connectivity. Can we see the numbers without turning on self-enrollment? You cannot, but if there are any JumpCloud managed users on the device, like this device shows, there will be no sign in with JumpCloud button. So that button only shows on devices with 0 managed users. They're coupled together. So let's keep rolling, right? So here we are. We're on the login window. Let's go back and let's unbind Hank from this device so we can get it back into this state where there are 0 managed users. Zero managed users. All right, so let's see what a self-service account provisioning looks like. We're going to go and add Polyflax at Sabre to this device. There she is. Holly's been added. There's our experience. That is a self-service account provisioning. Holly's account is added to this device. It's at the login window. And if I sign in with Holly now, oh, T2P, there's the Friday the 13th. She has MFA enabled. I don't have it set up. The demo gods got me this time. But you can see that Holly's account was provisioned to this device. Yeah, so we're here. This is the Camo camera. So this is the sign-in with JumpCloud flow, being able to provision an account to a device. And again, it only occurs when there are 0 managed accounts on the device. Visually, we can see managed and unmanaged with the JumpCloud icon. And this login window, let's be very clear, the login window is actually a rare thing that users see. With these new M1 Macs, we wake the screen from sleep. So the amazing magic, right? This is a Ventura device. The amazing magic from our overlords of Apple, where you've got a screensaver that then turns into the desktop background and it moves. You still get that because that's at the screen lock screen. Other things you see here, I have added to this device a policy. Login troubleshooting tip, connect to hotspot or Wi-Fi. That is something that I have done on this device through a policy, and that policy is the login window text policy. So that login window text, you're in control of this. This does not come with it, but I love adding that to help my pretend users myself. So get creative. That login window text is super valuable in being able to suit your users for their needs. So Windows. So for the Windows demo, let's go ahead and talk about that. I'm going to show you something that I'm super proud of, which is our JumpCloud University and the tech team that puts this together. They do an amazing job. And for better or for worse, with this Intel Mac that I'm on and sharing my screen and demoing, I am not comfortable tempting the demo gods with hardware and letting them potentially take me down. So let's get to the step in this video where we do a demo on Windows with Sign-in with JumpCloud, which is going to be right here. Here's Windows. So let me highlight how Windows is different. Windows does not allow any vendor to implement a new login window. Not possible. So our options, the laws of physics allow us to create a credential provider. So this credential provider that we've created will show up again only on devices with 0 managed users, and it'll show up in the bottom left as a user. It looks like a user, but you click sign in with JumpCloud. And then as you'll see here, once clicked, you will have the option to click here and sign in with JumpCloud, which will again launch a web view where users will authenticate with an email address and a password. So let's talk about a choice that I made here. So here's the choice. So this step right here at the credential provider is reconfirming the password that was put in during the web flow of that existing user, and then we're asking users and giving them the opportunity to create a PIN. Windows treats login options differently than Mac. You can have multiple primary login options where the PIN is one of them. The PIN is the gateway to the biometric. So you cannot set up Windows Hello after creating a PIN. So we made a cognizant choice to try to take that friction point out in getting to biometrics. And when users set up their password, also set up their PIN. PINs are more secure than passwords. They just are. They're unique to the device that they're on. This is a 6-digit requirement to set it up. And when a user sets up their account through the self-service account provisioning flow on Windows, they're also asked to set a PIN. The value of sign-in with JumpCloud, in my mind, from my perspective, this is the key value when we start to think about that road to zero touch. Apple, the best practice for Apple is to use automated device enrollment. So the use case of adding new accounts from the sign-in window on Mac devices is really for organizations that are unable or unwilling or just don't want to go through the automated device enrollment flow, Apple Business Manager, and setting that up where you're ordering your devices through a purchasing partner that allows you to enroll them in JumpCloud MDM in the box, in the plastic. The best practice, again, is to do that. There's no option right now when we start to think about how JumpCloud can integrate into the Windows out-of-box experience, the UBI flow, because the UBI flow dictates an Azure AD join with a sign-in with Microsoft account. So the more creative ways that organizations that choose to use Jump Cloud as an alternative to Microsoft can get to an Ubiflow experience, Sign with Jump Cloud is now a key fundamental building block that will get you closer to a true zero-touch experience. With this, thinking creatively, there's ways with your purchasing partner, with your imaging flows, to get devices with the agent installed, and that's all you have to do. You no longer have to take that secondary step where an account is bound to a device and you put a sticky note and say, this computer is going to be for Becky, this one's going to be for Luke. Those devices can be in a userless state when they're handed to users on their first day, and this would be the zero-touch user flow, signing in with Jump Cloud to add their device. The next feature that we have in the hopper to get us even closer to that zero-touch flow is a provisioning package flow that will allow you to download a provisioning package file from Jump Cloud so that your workstation provisioning flow as an org will be a device comes from Dell in the box, you take it out of the box, connect it to the Wi-Fi, plug a USB stick in, and the next thing you know, that device is in your Jump Cloud device list with the agent installed and with the sign in with Jump Cloud ready for those users on the first day. This is going to turn workstation provisioning from hours into minutes for many organizations, and provisioning packages will be delivered, mark my word, before the end of the year. I'm super excited to have that out. So Sign in with Jump Cloud plays with the provisioning package to get us to the lightest touch possible onboarding flow for IT orgs to get Windows devices ready for their end users. Provisioning packages are kind of secret in the Microsoft ecosystem because they don't require Azure Premium licensing, because they are not inside of that closed ecosystem of we're only using Microsoft. So let's talk about, again, how we enable this and what's going on, and let's tempt the demo gods. So let's tempt the demo gods and see if they're with us today. So globally, this login window is enforced on all devices in an org. You see, I just turned it off. The old login window will now come into play. This is a global setting. Should I turn it on again? During testing, we've been running this inside our Jump Cloud dog food organizations, as we call it, for over a month. And what we found is there were some scenarios where some of our developers have done some really funky things to their devices, and that led the login window from preventing them to get in. During that process, we fixed those bugs. We feel very strongly that this login window, it's ready for prime time. But if there's ever a scenario where there's a belief that the new login window is preventing users from logging in, as just demonstrated here, you can toggle this on and off at your whim without any real impact to your organization. Recognizing that that toggle on and off is impacting the login window, and you only touch that login window truthfully after a reboot or after intentional sign out from a machine. When we were doing this in production and turning this on and off for our 700 users, there was not once a report of a user saying, hey, I see the old login window. That never happened. The troubleshooting step, again, you can turn this on and off, and it's a global setting for all of your Macs enrolled. Other thing to call out, this has nothing to do with Jump Cloud MDM. This only has to do with the Jump Cloud agent. So if there's anyone on the call or watching this recording that's using Jump Cloud in joint management with another MDM vendor, you can absolutely do this same toggle on and off, independent of using Jump Cloud as your chosen Apple MDM vendor. Awesome. So let's keep it back on. I like it. And let's start to dig into some of the questions. So that wraps up my demo. We're going to share some of the resources that I've been flashing off here. These resources, again, are, if you want to see this, the tutorial for self-service account provisioning is amazing. There's also a great knowledge base article that talks about how to turn this on. And the final piece is a community post that kind of wraps it all together. So I'll look to my colleagues here to share that. And let's start getting into any and all of the questions.
Okay, so this is kind of a long one from Keith. Scott, I want to deploy this, but the new login window troubleshooting section gives me pause to deploy it, and it's get started self-service account provisioning. Question, what do I do if someone can't log in? Answer, turn off new login window experience. What's the edge case? Should we expect to have to toggle it on and off globally?
It can only be toggled on and off globally. And again, we at JumpCloud had 2 instances where developers had modified their devices in very, very curious ways, and we resolved both of those issues. Additionally, since making the changes, we have not had any reasons to toggle on or off. But know that that's there, that is there, and recognize the point that I made about when toggling it on and off, you're not changing the experience for any users other than ones that are at their login window. So this is a percentage of time people on their computer is like less than 0.1%. You're at your login window again. When you restart, after that, you're seeing the screen wake, and this new login window has no impact on that screen wake screen, which is what I see every time I sit down at my work computer. The only time I see my login window is when a patch policy forces my device to restart, and you only actually see it if you're enforcing 2-factor authentication after that, because we'll pass through from that file vault disk decryption screen, making an assumption that everyone has encrypted drives, all the way to the login. Were the issues resolved by fixing the machines or updating the code? Combination. There was a really weird host file that didn't make any sense to anyone, and it was amazing to me that that computer even worked. So that was one of them. And then the second one did require, it was an agent connectivity thing. And long story short, there's no dependency on the agent being running now to get logging into your device, and that was a known issue that again, we were, as we dog food things, we assumed that risk for our organization. So I have very, very high confidence that this toggle on and off, it's like the that emergency exit in a plane. Like the handle's there, very rare, and hopefully never that you have to use it.
I am seeing a couple of comments on this global thing that I'm sure you're seeing too. I'd love for
Yep.
group-based enablement versus everything always being global. Global feels risky for new features, and I have a problem with this global setting. It should be per group so that it can be tested. I have lots of stories with edge cases.
Yeah, totally hear that feedback. The way that accounts can turn this on, the recommendation is that if you want to test it, let's get you set up, if you don't have it, with the sandbox JumpCloud production environment. The 10 users free forever was a mantra that existed until we made some changes to our signup flow, where very often this was turned on inside of an org. Sandbox org was outside of their production org. We can totally take that feedback of enabling things globally, but the net is that the value here is for all your users. We're building these features with confidence. They work. We don't want questions well, it only kind of works. Like, these work. We are building strong, valuable features that work globally. And that is the intent for why they're global features. We have the utmost confidence in the features that we build and the value that they can deliver to you and your employees.
Yeah, Jeff has an interesting comment about the setting for standard or administrator on the settings screen gives me pause. I don't want to accidentally lose the ability to admin my own laptop.
So again, remember, this is for new account provisioning, and this is making a choice to say when a user is adding their account to their device, what is the default? After that, being a JumpCloud admin, any toggles can be changed to promote a user to administrator. Additionally, the flag global admin on a user, global sudo on a user for any of their associations will promote any user to an admin, regardless of if that default is set to standard. So we have, a least privilege model that allows you to make intentional choices on who is an admin. And if you as an admin have, multiple devices you want to be down to, just give yourself that global admin sudo and don't worry about it. You'll be an admin everywhere, all the time, all at once, regardless of the binds.
Josh is asking, is it possible to have a new user configure their password for the first time from this screen?
Not yet, but I love that idea. As we talk about what's coming, we're thinking about how the device can be the onboarding flow to get users to set their password. There's a number of immense benefits here, not just for new account creation, but really for a term that we call takeover, where oftentimes, the people on this call were JumpCloud customers. We've gone through the process of onboarding to JumpCloud. When you onboarded to JumpCloud, there was a takeover process that had to occur to get existing devices onboard to JumpCloud and existing local accounts onboarded to JumpCloud. That takeover process is all admin led right now. Where an admin binds a user to a device, the usernames of their Jump Cloud account matches the local account, and their account is taken over. That process can get better for the end user experience because that takeover process sends a password change inbound, and in sending that password change inbound, it can blow away Windows credentials, and also it can reset the keychain if the user doesn't know what their old password was when doing that takeover. So asking your question about having users set passwords from their devices, yes, and we are looking at it not just for new accounts, but also for the takeover flows, so that we have a much more seamless experience for users' first impression to Jump Cloud when an organization is onboarding.
Very cool. Uh, Brandon wants to know, how will old accounts happen for pins? Previous Jump Cloud managed accounts not having pins.
You can go into login options in Windows and set a PIN. You can go into login options in Windows and set up a biometric. There's some questions about, oh, pins don't work with Jump Cloud MFA. It's not exactly true. The way that we've implemented MFA at the login window is that you can't use a PIN as a primary authentication method. At the login window with Jump Cloud MFA enforced, it's a password plus one of the other MFA authenticators that we have, be it push or TOTP. Inside of an active Windows session, a PIN can be used to do things like authenticate and step up for administrative actions. But I want to highlight that there were some questions or uncertainty about how Jump Cloud supports a PIN. And truthfully, it's going to come back to now what Jump Cloud Go enables, where Jump Cloud Go looks at local device authenticators for daily verification, and the local device authenticators can be any of the ones that are sent up. Password is what Jump Cloud sets by default. You see us now doing password and PIN with this flow as I demonstrated here. And what's most seamless for users and most secure in terms of the user experience is getting to that inheritance factor. Whether it's doing Windows Hello with Face or Windows Hello with Touch, that's the most seamless user experience. And again, why that matters now and why we're talking about it now is that's what Jump Cloud Go unlocks. You're using your local device authenticator to prove that you're there, to authenticate and unlock your device and your sessions. And that's why we're making steps to make getting to that biometric easier. Yes, Michael, I too am very excited about the takeover flow. And we're starting to think about different words, right? Takeover, it's kind of an angry word, right? Like we're going to take over the land. Migration is what we're looking at making intentional. Make migration intentional. A user starts a migration, and if something fails, they're not locked out from their account. They can still use their account until they try that migration again. Takeover can lead to some poor results for users when, like you take over the account and then the user says, I can't get into it. So in addition to this, I'm very keen on words. We want to make administrative actions intentional. So what you'll see coming out next year is right now there's a users tab on the devices side. We're going to bring an accounts tab to the devices side, where the accounts is going to accurately display all the information of all of the accounts that are on the device and highlight which ones are Jump Cloud managed, which ones aren't, which ones are active, which ones are suspended. The users tab makes a ton of sense in other parts of Jump Cloud. For example, on the user groups tab, right? Which users are in this group? When we think about a device and how a device lives in the real world, and when you're onboarding a device to Jump Cloud, maybe for the first time, you might have no idea which accounts are on there. Bringing that accounts tab front and center to show you what's there, I'm super excited about bringing that. And then the other key thing that an accounts tab brings in is it makes actions intentional. Where right now you do a bind and one of two things happen. You either take over the account or provision a new account. We want to give you absolute certainty when you're doing a device identity administrative action. Will you be provisioning a new account? Is that what you wanted to do? Or will you be taking over a new account? So very, very, very excited to work towards that vision where migration is a word you're going to be hearing from us, where a user is migrating an existing local account to Jump Cloud, and that's going to be very clear and apparent for both the user and for you as the admin.
Very cool. Another PIN question. Luke wants to know if PIN logins are going to be logged in Directory Insights.
I will have to put a thread into that. Right now, I'm thinking about how Directory Insight events are decorated in terms of the metadata, and a login is a login is a login. So let's put a pin in that because that's a great highlight to call out. understanding how users are logging in. I'll take that back to the team for discussion, but right now a login is a device login, and it is not saying which authenticator was used.
Okay. And then in the provisioning flow, would it apply to additional users wanting to log into that device? Meaning, would any Jump Cloud user be able to log in on that device?
So right now there's a global rule that says the sign in with Jump Cloud button shows up when there are 0 managed users. I had the pleasure of joining some of our executive team on the campfire sessions and talking about these features before we release them. One of the key things that popped up was IT admins saying, hey, we want that button to be there regardless of how many managed users are on the device. And their reasoning was users only know their Jump Cloud credentials. If I get physical access to that device, I want to be able to add my account to it because I'm an admin and I need to do something on that device. That was one perspective. And another perspective was this opens up the computer lab use case for us. We have multiple users, multiple devices, and we want users to be able to walk up to any device in our computer lab and add their account to that device. They only know their credentials. They don't know anyone else's credentials, and we're going to default it to standard. So that would be a future increment that I have confidence that we will deliver. I can't give you a timetable on it yet, but it's not large, to give you the option inside of org settings to determine, I should probably take your feedback, right? Not globally, but probably per device, via device group, per device, not globally, which devices have the ability to keep that button so any user with a valid set of credentials for your organization can add their account. Kind of goes without saying, but I don't want to make any assumptions. Directory affinity, only users, right, with a Jump Cloud valid username and password for the org that device enrolled in can add their account to their device. I couldn't walk up to one of your computers, sign in with my valid Jump Cloud account and add my account. It requires that affinity between the device that's managed by this org and the user account in this org.
Gotcha. All right, next one. Will this provisioning package have a way to name the computer as part of that process? So it's not a random made name. We use asset tags as part of the name. So Steven's asking that one.
So I'm a huge believer in trying to unlock opportunities in the most intentional way possible. Provisioning packages, you could build it today. So you could download the Windows Imaging and Configuration Designer tool today and build a provisioning package and have a script that installs the Jump Cloud agent. But that takes time, expertise, and understanding all the steps it would take there. The way that we'll be bringing provisioning packaging to market is we'll be giving you the XML to do the needful and enroll that device into Jump Cloud MDM. From there, you can do whatever you want inside a provisioning package. You can unlock an immense amount of value, and naming computers is one of the things that's in there. One of the things that I want to highlight for provisioning package that every organization is going to have a choice to make is what is the local account that gets created so that you skip the setup screen using a provisioning package. And oftentimes in organizations, this is like the backdoor admin account, but you'll have a choice as an organization to make with your provisioning package to create that account and do other things like, do you want to update the name? Do you want to install other applications? Provisioning package, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg to enrolling the device with MDM, but there's an immense amount that technology can do, and what you can do to customize the provisioning package that you use. It all comes down to putting that file onto a flash drive, but what's in the XML of that file is totally up to you guys.
Awesome. And I think you already said this, but just to get it on record for Brandon, if all Jump Cloud managed users are removed from a machine, does self-enrollment come back? And I believe you demonstrated that.
Yeah, totally. Demonstrated that. You remove it, go back to 0 managed users, shows up again.
Yeah. And let's see, another one from Brandon. If we have pins, Windows Hello, disabled by a group policy, how will this conflict with the new login screen creation flow?
Great question. Let's put a pin in that and circle back to that. But if it's disabled, don't have that on the tip of my tongue.
Okay. No pun intended with the pin, putting a pin in it. A couple of really good comments too. So Jeff had said for labs, having a temporary login for a user would be great. So you have to sign in via Jump Cloud each time and also keeps the login screen clean.
Yeah, get creative. Get creative with commands, get creative with scheduling. Again, like these are all things that are possible with for better or for worse, using automations to get there. I know that there's a number of organizations that have incredible automations that are far outside the realm of what we have configured for click actions. But from the APIs that can manage device associations to commands that can clean up accounts after that, one thing that I'm very, I just want to draw a line in the sand is that JumpCloud does not delete user data. So when you like unbind an account from a device, right, that puts that account in a suspended state. We are not in the business of deleting data. So if you wanted to get that device back into a state where the user could add their account again, there would have to be a cleanup command that would be run to delete that account from the device. That doesn't happen organically through just a disassociation between a user and a device.
Gotcha. And Steven says we have an admin login that is shared between all computers, so it would be nice to just have that user as an exception.
So that's kind of where we have what I would say is our best lap solution right now. We're a device group and a user group where that device is, there's one user in the user group, that admin account, and all of the devices are in the associated device group, gets you that admin account on all your devices. Now, the sign in with JumpCloud feature would give you the ability to create that account on demand. The bottom line is like the on demand versus just having it there. Like you have the ability to have it there. The on demand is what we're talking about. And the point I want to make is that depending on the scenario, right? When I had these campfire sessions and organizations said, hey, we want that button to stay there, doesn't matter. The reasons why they were saying that is because users only knew their credentials and they were only that button is useless to them on that device. They already have their account there. They're not gonna like add it again. So my question kind of to ask would be, are you in scenarios where you would basically want to have that button persist, but be able to control which accounts could authenticate to it, recognizing that, like you don't want other users to walk up to other people's computers and add their accounts. You just want your admin account there. Is that the use case?
Yeah, we'll have Steven try to answer that in the chat. And then while he's doing that, Luke said, in our exploration of provision packages, you are limited with hostname structures, meaning we've not seen the ability to prompt for input. There are some variables available, but I've not seen an option to force to a specific host name.
Yeah, I've poked around it too. I think it has like serial number kind of hard coded, and then there's like an incremental integer with a string. I really want, and I've been advocating for us to just kind of put in those default commands where you can update the device's host name just by typing it in, so it stays in sync with the display name. I believe in our commands template gallery, you can see how to do that with commands, but that is a multi-step process where we could easily make that more intentional. So I hear you there. The provisioning package, we're at the mercy of what our overlord Microsoft offers. And yeah, the net is that host names, getting a host name updated. You can do it with commands, but we should absolutely be able to make that easier for you. And the provisioning package is just one way to update the host name. After that device exists, you can use commands for that. And again, I want to make that easier for you guys.
Yeah, and Michael, your comment about the provisioning package, creating a local admin account and random password, you say that would be nice. I hope that you are putting in a feature request for that. Hint, hint, if you have
Yeah, the
not.
more feature requests you guys can put in for the Laps use case, I feel strongly that Laps is something that we can invest harder in. And I kind of, I'm looking to the community to help rally around what you're looking for and what features you need. But that local admin password solution, Microsoft is improving this in Microsoft Entra, how those are set, how those are stored, how those are rotated. Again, anything's possible in an open directory with open APIs, but the LAP solution right now for us is, as I talked about, the single account to all devices. And then the reality is there's one password for all those accounts on all devices.
Yeah.
So feature requests, feature requests, feature requests. We hear you guys, the data to back it, right? You give it to us in those feature requests.
Absolutely. And Urvashi just posted the link to the feature request site in the comments, and you can do it from your console. So when you log in to the into Jump Cloud, you can do it there too. And Matthew is saying, when will that provisioning package slash flash drive be available?
I'm going to stand on it and say before the end of the year. I am standing on that, and I will keep the pressure to do everything in my power to help that delivery come to fruition.
Nice.
More than seeds are planted, the tree is growing. We're waiting on the fruits.
All right. Awesome. And Jeff says that the cleanup script each night through schedule command. Great idea.
Yeah,
Agreed.
commands are amazing. Commands are really, really amazing. And there's some cool stuff in commands. Let me see if I can find it in the API docs. You can make commands unique for each device. You can put payloads in the JSON of commands. Inside of the Jump Cloud PowerShell module, once upon a time, there was a invoke JC command deployment that I wrote way back when with a new deployment template. So there's some really, really powerful stuff that you can do with commands. So inside of this link, navigate to the command functions and dig into those invoke JC command deployments. Again, this shows you how to do it in PowerShell, but it's just the API. So anything the module can do is just using our API, and it can be integrated in any other language. PowerShell was just the tool I was familiar using as a former IT admin. And humble brag, yes, I created the PowerShell module way back when. So much of the code in it is still the initial commits I made.
Yeah. And, I would love to see y'all share in the community how you're using these things. Like share which commands you're using and how you're doing them in the community and help each other out. I mean, that's what we would like to see. If you got an idea or you don't know which one to use, ask. And if you're using one to great effect, then let other people know.
So let me jump on Luke's question. So we love acronyms here at Jump Cloud. We love acronyms. And when we were developing the new login window and self-service account provisioning, one of the acronyms, Luke, was TOFU, Trust on First Use. Inside of Zero Touch for Apple Business Manager and onboarding a device, same thing for a Microsoft Azure AD join out of the box. It's a one-time action. You take a box, let's go the Microsoft route. You take a device out of the box in Microsoft, you sign in with a Microsoft account, you provision that account to the device. It's a one-time action. Self-service account provisioning is the same. When there are 0 managed users on the device, any user in that organization can add their account to the device, and that's a one-time action. After that, it's not available anymore. So that global toggle is only going to present that button to sign in with Jump Cloud on devices with 0 managed users, and only on those devices with 0 managed users can a single user add their account to that device. After that, button's gone. So again, trust on first use was the term that I think kind of wraps up how this works in the industry, where with Apple Business Manager, right? A zero touch enrollment flow, you sign with your work account, you add your work account to your device. That is a one-time action. Does that make sense?
All right. So there was one other thing from Brandon. Has anyone had issues with sending commands to bulk amounts of machines? So I don't know if you have heard.
We've got a queue. You can see what's going on. What I know from my time testing with commands is some of the gotchas there. Devices have to be online. We now have a queue. So if devices aren't online, they'll get those commands when they come online. You can see the status of that queue. But ultimately, the biggest room for opportunity that we still have in the platform is looking at command results. And the best way to do that right now to actually see the output of those results is through our API. It's a click per result to see the details of the result, but that makes reporting a little tough. But generally, sending a ton of commands to a ton of devices, recognize that devices have to be online to get those commands. They are sent incrementally through a queue, so it's not like a shotgun blast all at once. It's more of a queued, think like a Pez dispenser shooting really fast, sending those commands to devices, and then reading the results, right? The output is a bit harder. Additionally, reoccurring commands run at the scheduled time of the time on the device. So time zone issues can come into play and be confusing.
Brandon saying biggest issue is I have a reoccurring command that is sometimes running, but sometimes not on certain machines.
Time zones is what I would dig into, because it's going to be the schedule for when that runs will be based on the time zone of that machine. And that's a fairly big gotcha, where we think that's global, but it's not. So if you schedule it for 10 a.m., it's 10 a.m. local time of that machine. So if the 10 machines all with different 10 a.m.s, you're going to see those results come back incrementally based on the 10 a.m. of those machines.
Okay. And Luke had said yes, but so
Exactly. So that's the yes, but. The yes, but is my listening to you guys is when the feature to keep that button there does not exist. Right now, sign in with Jump Cloud is singular. Trust on first use. It's a one-time action for provisioning a single account to a device when there are 0 managed. The incremental feature that we're ideating on as a group is, what if we want to keep the button there? And my listening from you guys is, don't make that global. Make it a toggle per device first, and then per device group would be an evolution of that, being able to toggle that attribute. And where my head goes is a future increment would be able to do exclusions or exclusions. Just thinking about how things get built incrementally.
yeah. Or maybe at the very least, like how we've done, where we have early groups where you do a small group of users and get them in there first, make sure it's working. The people that are more able and willing to have like an early testers group before you then start to roll it out and rolling groups globally, or something like that, just where it's not all or nothing, I think is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and toggling self-service account provisioning on for Windows in an organization that's using Jump Cloud and onboarded today will change nothing about the user experience for users. If they have a managed account on a device, there's no change. That button won't show up. There's nothing there. So no change at all to the user experience. Again, it's really just for getting closer to zero-touch onboarding workflows. So my strong belief is that turning this on, it's going to add value to the next Windows devices that you onboard, and hopefully take away that step where you're having to add users to devices. It'll get you closer to a stack of MacBooks ready for your users and a stack of Windows ready for your users, and you just have those ready to roll for anyone, and just ship them out.
Awesome. And
Yes,
just a quick
I hear Luke. I'm going to address that. That is exactly my vision, Luke. Everything should have defaults, and then have a not exclusions, but rules, and then be able to prioritize those rules. So that is exactly what I'm advocating for.
yeah, that would be awesome. And then to follow up on Brandon, because we keep hopping back and forth between Brandon and Luke. Brandon was clarifying that the commands are not running, not something delayed. So he's going to open up a ticket to dig into that more, since it wasn't the time zone. It doesn't seem to be the time zone thing. So we're good there. And Michael's saying that Windows sign in will be a huge time saver. Totally awesome. So great to hear that.
Taking
Michael.
a screenshot and sharing that with the team right now.
Absolutely. And I think I saw, Brandon said, Scott, the Windows sign-in with Jump Cloud might actually fix one of our main gotchas. Thanks so much for you and your team's work. So you should grab a screenshot of that one too. Awesome. Keith says tofu plus ignore specific bound admin accounts. So one option of that. Luke says, I get that Agile goes to a quick win with global, but as a user admin, global as default first choice is terrifying. Yeah. We hear you. We hear you, Luke. We hear you on that one. And Rob wishes he has more than one Windows machine so he could test this out. So maybe not. I don't know, Rob. Well,
yeah, I guess what's nice in testing, well, for better or for worse, right? The testing with a global default is having a sandbox org, and we can absolutely help you get that sandbox org for your organization. We have a different production org. We use the term inside of Jump Cloud that our organization, that all of our work devices are run on, is dog food. Well, I have what's called the cat food org, which is my production organization with real devices. That is my org that you saw me just demoing in. we can help you get those cat food orgs for your organization. And then from there, because this feature is not dependent on MDM enrollment, it's much easier to test on Mac devices where you can install the agent and don't have to go through the wildness of serial number spoofing to get them enrolled to turn that on. So there's opportunities for us to help you make it easier to test with those global settings. I hear you loud and clear from those global settings, but I want to give you guys confidence that we build global settings because these features are thoroughly tested, thoroughly QA'd, and they're ready for prime time. And I want to essentially try to make your lives easier with an easy button and give you optionality where that optionality has opportunity to expand. But loud and clear, right? We can always do better, and we will do better in giving you that optionality.
Yeah, and we really do appreciate the feedback, y'all. So thank you for letting us know and telling us what you're looking for and what works and doesn't work, because that really does help us a lot. Sandbox makes sense, but for large multi-country org deployment, global is still scary. Don't hate me, Scott.
Don't hate you. Yeah, of course I don't hate you. But I hope I've demonstrated that toggle on and off so that you know that you've got that to back you. Demonstrate it multiple times. And again, as we went through a multi-month dogfooding of this new login window, we actually early on had to do that global toggle. And remember, the login window, we do not see it that often, right? The login window is something that we only see on our Mac and Windows devices when we restart or intentionally sign out. And kind of the design of everyday things, the way people work, people aren't starting their days often with restarts anymore. They're starting their days with touching their finger on the device from the screen lock screen to get back into their computer.
Yeah. And I know we're over time. One last thing from Nathan. Sorry if I missed this, but for newer refreshed Apple systems provision via ADE, does that existing process change?
It doesn't. The thing that would change for them is with ADE, the account gets added during the enrollment, and then they'd see the new login window and they would see their Jump Cloud managed icon. There would be no button there to sign in again because it'd provision their account, but it would show them, the new login window. And with ADE, they would be connected to wireless, so they wouldn't have to connect to wireless from the login window, but you would see with ADE now, unbox the device, choose a language, MDM enrollment, sign in with an account. That account gets provisioned. Then you're at the new login window. You click on your account and you sign in.
All right. All good. And wow, we filled it up. Scott filled up that time and then some. Jonathan says it is now safe to turn off your computer. I think that's a perfect spot to end this Friday the 13th. And you did it. You got through the demos, even on Friday the 13th, even with blatantly tempting the demo gods. Just,
if Holly didn't have MFA set up, I would have gotten all the way in, but we'll just throw that one under the rug.
Yeah. But yeah, even with the blatant pushing your luck, you did it. So thanks for joining us again, Scott. Thanks, everyone. Really great. Lots of great questions today. Really interactive and everybody going all in on this. So thanks for joining us. And don't forget, coming up next week and the week after, we're going to be giving away those advanced certification vouchers. You have to be present to win, and you do have to be a paid customer, but we're looking forward to giving those away. And on the 27th, we're going to be doing those spooky IT stories again. So get your scary examples ready of what's been going on in your world. And we will see you next week. So enjoy your weekend, everyone. We'll see you again soon. Bye all.